Okay, so that should read, I'm coming out. I've just started making a new project. It's called the School of Patsy Cline. It's going to be a series of micro lectures that intertwine a broad range of topics with the music of Patsy Cline, such as love, death, illness, autobiography, geography and science. Today I'm going to focus on bridges, illness, heartache, loss and failure. So I'm going to be showing 3 very early, fragile, small presentations. I'm going to take separate materials and introduce them to each other for the first time today to recognise their potential relationships or living connections in performance. The materials I'll be using are an article called The Geography of Requiredness by David Williams. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
In the Skin of a Lion by Michael Ondaatje, Patsy Cline, her music, and I'll be touching briefly on her hair, and also I'll be using the autobiographical, 2 parts from my personal life. Over the last few years I've become ill. I've been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis or MS. That's an autoimmune disease where the immune system attacks the brain and it temporarily or sometimes permanently disables various parts of the body. It's progressive and incurable. The second sort of thing that I need to mention is that amongst people with MS, when we share this knowledge publicly and when we tell people about our condition, we refer to this process as coming out. So for today, I'm coming out. The second strand of my personal life I'll be looking at is my failed love life. During sort of coming to terms with my diagnosis and being hit by the impact of that, I also got my heart broken at the same time. So for today's presentations, I undertook an action, which was to make a series of encouraging banners and to hang them somewhere where they were needed. I hung them over bridges that have or will one day collapse. They read comforting words like, be strong, I'm here, it will be okay. The kind of words that other people give you when something very bad happens, like natural disaster strikes, a loved one dies, you lose your job, you become ill, someone you love doesn't love you. On the 5th of May 2009, exactly 3 years ago today, I wake up and my vision is blurred and I have 2 large black spots in front of my eyes. This lasts for a few months, and the main thought I have is that over the years, I won't be able to see how the faces change of the people I know as they grow old. I'd now like to reenact that whilst reading from The Skin of a Lion. So Christy, if you could skip to the next track on the DVD player, please.
Guys, come in if you like. Is it not working?
Yeah, that's fine, that's great. During the collapse, the main suspension cables are thrown violently from side to side. They are twisted and tossed 100 feet into the air. The loss of the centre section and the dropping of the side spans causes substantial damage, and its only value now is scrap metal. 2 key points stand out. Number 1, the principal cause of the 1940s Narrows failure was its excessive flexibility. The solid plate girder and deck have acted like an aerofoil, creating drag and lift, drag and lift. Several factors have contributed to this. Once the unbalanced motion began, failure was progressive and incurable. So I'm now going to read from In the Skin of a Lion by Michael Ondaatje. The bridge goes up in a dream. It will link the east end with the centre of the city. It will carry trains that have not even been invented yet. Night and day, fall light, snow light, they are always working. Men in a maze of wooden planks climb deep into the shattered light of blonde wood. A man is an extension of hammer, drill, flame, drill smoke in his hair, a cap falls into the valley, gloves are buried in stone dust. On October the 18th, 1918, it's completed. Lounging in mid-air. Go to the next part of the DVD, please. So this is called Heartache and Hair. This is the second part of the presentation. So I'd like to read some notes on failed love. Accepting and integrating the grain and texture of its imperfections, allow its seams, stitchings and flaws to be visible. It's provisional, contingent, in process, ravelled and unravelling. It's human and imperfect. It's a made thing, still being made by amateurs, those who love its fragile, imperfect life. There is no need to learn to speak to each other. Vulnerable humanity resides in our imperfections and our mistakes. So, as I said at the beginning, I recently had my heart broken, and now I'd like to reenact the last conversation I had with the woman in question. Hello, I thought you weren't coming. I changed my mind. I had a facial palsy, like when someone has a stroke and they are paralysed down one side. That happened to my face, but I've recovered sooner than I thought, so I'm here now. I can't stop for long, but are you okay? So up until now, we've been stood side by side, but at this point we turn to face each other. Yes, I'm okay. Sometimes life is diamonds, sometimes life is coral. You're looking well. You're looking well yourself. I like your new haircut. It's very short, it's very nice. Thanks, it's like a little boy's. Would it be okay if I touched your hair, because I'd like to run my fingers through it like a river? So 2 key points have stood out. The first is the principal cause of the lesbian haircut can be traced back to Patsy Cline, as cited in the History of Lesbian Hair by Mary Duggar. Now, Duggar states that all lesbian haircuts have evolved from Patsy Cline's original 1950s do. Secondly, several factors have contributed to what is now known as lesbian hair disaster, such as the Stonewall back and sides, the shoe mullet, the mohawk, the faux hawk, the Siamese disease crop, that's also known as the matching bob for lesbian twins, and last but certainly not least, the super dykey buzz cut. So, once this unbalanced motion begins, disaster is progressive and incurable. So I've been looking for some instructions on how to heal my broken heart, and these have been taken from WikiHow and then translated through Patsy Cline. Number 1, allow yourself to cry. Translates as let the teardrops fall. Number 2, erase everything from that person, pictures, gifts, Facebook and memories. Translates as take a calendar and turn back all the pages. Understand what went wrong, or strange you changed like night and day, just up and walked away when she came along. Be honest with yourself. I understand you love her more than me, or I've got your picture and she's got you. Admit your mistakes. I let you slip through my fingers like a river. Realise you are changing. Someone else will fill the shoes that I once wore, because them shoes don't fit me no more. Throughout all of this, try to remain civil. So let's still be friends to the soft violins. Detach and embrace your independence. I'll sail my ship alone. And finally, accept that failure is inevitable and what goes up must come down. Translated by Patsy, I'm crazy for thinking that my love could hold you. We could go to the next part of the DVD. So on the 30th of April 2010, I find that I can't whistle anymore because I've had a problem with the 7th or the 8th cranial nerve of my brain. That's the nerve that's responsible for controlling all the facial muscles. In essence, effectively, the left-hand side of my face had collapsed. During the collapse, the loss of the centre section and the dropping of the side spans causes substantial damage. I leave the hospital with a small card that says I am a steroid user, a bag of steroids, a hearing aid, 3 eye patches to wear in bed, and the stolen hospital gowns that I've used to make those banners. So my face has recovered mostly now. I'm now going to perform a song of strength for the people and the bridges of Stroud who have collapsed or one day will. I'm going to whistle Crazy by Patsy Cline, but my whistling isn't great. From The Geography of Requiredness by David Williams, use what's at hand, what's possible, what works, accepting and integrating the grain and texture of its imperfections. Let its seams, stitchings and flaws be visible, it's provisional, contingent, in process, ravelled and unravelling. It's human, imperfect, it's a made thing still being made by amateurs and those who love its fragile, imperfect life. There is no need to learn to play the ukulele, to sing or to dance or to speak perfectly, but a detailed engagement must be attempted. The cracks invite another mode of spectating, a compassionate witnessing. A vulnerable humanity resides in our imperfections and our mistakes. So I'm now going to whistle Crazy by Patsy Cline. As I've already said, my whistling is not great. So if anyone would like to join in and help me do that, that would be much appreciated. If you don't want to join in, then that's absolutely fine. Okay, well, thank you everyone who did join in to help me there. So I'm just going to read now from In the Skin of a Lion. In certain weather, when fog fills the valley, the men stay close to each other. They arrive for work and walk onto a path that disappears into whiteness. What country exists on the other side? They move in groups of 3 or 4. Many have already died during the building of the bridge. But especially on mornings like this, there is a prehistoric fear, a giant bird lifting one of the men into the air. Nicholas has removed his hat, stepped into his harness and dropped himself off the edge, falling 30 feet down through fog. He hangs under the spine of the bridge. He can see nothing, just his hands and the yard of pulley rope above him. 6 in the morning and he's already lost to that community of men on the bridge who are part of the fairy tale. He is parallel to the lattice work of hanging structures. Now he enters the cages of steel and wood like a diver, entering a sunken vessel that could at any moment tip over into deeper fracture zones of the sea floor. So we're now going to conclude and finish today's presentations with a song from Miss Patsy Cline. So if you could go to the next part of the DVD, please.
Isn't that the truth? And it kind of reminds me of something, Patsy. It gives us a natural introduction to your next song. Imagine that.
Imagine